Hello, everyone. My name is Wajma Aslami. I am one of the counselors here at Mountain House High School, and today's presentation is going to be about the early college program here at Mountain House High School. Online with me today is Candace McGee. She is from Delta College. So she'll be online so that we can answer any questions for you at the end of this presentation. I will be presenting all of the information. I won't be taking any questions like in the chat or anything like that. So if you have questions, I do have a link at the end of the presentation where you will be given the opportunity to ask questions. Alrighty. So the agenda for tonight is I will give an overview of what the early college program is, the application process, the conditions for acceptance, and then things to consider when deciding if this program is a right fit for you as a student or as a parent for you to consider whether this is the correct program for your student. So the early college program is a program that combines high school and college in a rigorous, supportive environment that enables students to graduate with college credits and the tools for college and career. So currently, we have 141 Mountain House high school students that are part of the early college program. Overall, this number is a little bit larger. It's probably around 100. Over 100 students have graduated with a high school diploma and an associate's degree or have completed the I Get To track. Currently, 20 students are on track to graduate with a high school diploma and an associate's degree, and 5 of those students are completing the I Get To only. And we will get more into what it means to have an associate's degree and what it means for I Get To. What will I earn in the early college program? So students who follow the sequence of this program will graduate from high school and have the option to earn one or both of the following. So I referenced I Get To earlier. That stands for Intersegmental General Education Transfer Curriculum. It's a certificate used for transferring lower division units from Delta College to UCs and CSUs. The associate's degree is an associate of science in interdisciplinary studies in math and science. Students are able to decide on which one of these pathways they want to select in the spring of their sophomore year. And Ms. McGee, if I am off on anything, please jump in and correct me.
So far, so good.
Thanks. So what is I Get To? So I Get To is a series of courses that California Community College students can complete to satisfy freshman and sophomore level considered lower division general education requirements before transferring to most colleges and major UC CSU campuses. And we'll answer some of the questions in regards to I Get To and associate's degree at the end if there are questions. So early college students will choose their pathway, as I mentioned, their sophomore year, in the spring of their sophomore year. That way they have some experience with taking classes at Delta to see which path will benefit their educational goals. So both pathways require 2 college courses in the fall and 2 college courses in the spring of their freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year. So if students are doing the associate's degree, which is completing a little bit more units, that means the students are agreeing to take 2 college courses in the summer of their sophomore year and the summer of their junior year, and some additional courses in their senior year. So instead of 2 courses in the fall and the spring, they may be taking 3 in the fall and the spring of their senior year. This is very blurry, so I'm going to see. So this is what the path kind of looks like. It's a little bit blurry. I couldn't get it to focus, but in the summer of 9th grade, actually, so this cohort 10 will take an online course in the summer of before they start high school. It's a Counseling 19 class. It's a 0.5 unit course. And in the summer, is this for sure, or are we still working with fall?
This we're still working on. We would like to honor it. We just have to make sure we can get somebody to teach it in the summer.
Okay, so the goal is to have it in the summer. It may transition into the fall if it doesn't work out. However, this course prepares students to take community college courses and to understand what it really means to be in a IGETC pathway or an associate's degree pathway. They talk about like the area requirements for each course and the units, and just really understanding what it means to be a community college student. And they do talk about like the transfer process and a lot more topics in this course. So, and then in their freshman year, they take two classes. One is another counseling class. It's a 1-unit class. And then they take I think it's a History 2B class that they'll take in the fall of their freshman year. So this is just kind of an example of what it may look like. And once we get the roadmap finalized, we will be sending it out to everyone. This is just kind of an example of what it could look like as far as like how many classes they take in the fall and the spring, and then if they're doing the associate's degree, what it would look like in the summer. So this is something that I get asked a ton, and I will spend some time discussing this. So in the early college pathway, students take several college courses, and 7 of those courses will also get articulated onto their high school transcript. So they, as you can see, they take more than 7 courses here. They take, 2 here, and a bunch more. So they're taking tons of classes. Out of all of the classes that they do take, 7 of them do get articulated onto the high school transcript. What that means is, for example, at the college, students will be taking English 1A. We articulate that class to count for their junior year English class, whether that's English 11 or AP Ling. It is a weighted class, so we like to use it as like saying like English 1A in our eyes as the high school is equivalent to our AP language class. Okay. So that means that in their junior year, students that are in this pathway have already, may have already completed their English class, and so they don't have to take the same class at the high school. So this is true for History 17A, where we use it for their U.S. history requirement. Math 12, we articulate for their stats. It's not a requirement. We just add it because it is a more difficult class, and students typically would like that articulated as their math course. History 2B is equivalent for us for world history. English 1B is English 12. Econ and poli-sci kind of go together because at the high school, they take econ and government in their senior year, a semester of each. These are more units. However, we use these courses to fulfill those graduation requirements. So one of the perks of this program, and we will discuss more benefits of it later on, is that when they're taking these classes, these 7 classes count towards their high school graduation requirements as well. And again, they are weighted. So AP and honors courses at the high school are weighted. What that means is that instead of an A in a class, like let's say your student took US history, AP US history, and earned an A, they would get 5 points for that A because it's an AP class. And so the same applies to these college courses. We do weight them on the high school transcript. Okay, so this is kind of an example of what my the students' 9th and 10th grade years look like. They would take their English, their math, their social studies. Their freshman year, we do global studies 1 semester, health the 2nd semester, their science, PE, world language. And all students enrolled in the early college program are required to also take a pathway course at Mountain House High School. So this is typically, it doesn't have to be exact. They don't have to take a world language. They could take another elective course if they want, especially if they're doing a different world language. So these are just examples. This is not what it has to be. And on top of this caseload that they're taking at the high school, they will be taking 2 Delta College courses each semester. Some of them are online. Some of them may be offered in the evenings. So usually after high school hours at the Delta College Mountain House campus that's located on Central. So what are the benefits of early college? So they get to gain experience in taking college level courses. It's a huge financial saving because these courses are free to high school students. So if they're taking the courses while in high school, they don't necessarily have to take the same courses at the UC or CSU that they're attending and paying those UC CSU prices. They are guaranteed a spot in their class. So if we're telling students that they need to take History 2B at Delta College, their spot is guaranteed. They don't have to fight other Delta students to get into the class. There is like a deadline of when they have to actually register. Students are not automatically registered for their classes. They do have to each semester log into Delta College and enroll in the classes that we tell them to enroll in. But typically I would say 98% of our population usually ends up doing it and having a fine time with that. We already talked about how some of the classes, about 7 of them, count for both high school and college credits. Students earn 37 or more transfer units. When they do transfer to a UC or CSU, they may be considered for sophomore or junior status at their university. And obviously, it saves time towards college graduation. Some important information that I like to discuss is the 7 courses that I mentioned previously. When students are taking them at Delta College, we would prefer that they did not take the same exact courses. For example, if they're taking English 1A, we would prefer that they did not take English 11 or AP Lang at the high school. Because we wouldn't articulate it. So if they did take English 11, or if they really wanted to take AP Lang, but they already took English 1A at Delta, we would not add both of those to their high school transcript, because then it looks a little funky. It's like 6 years of English credits. We wouldn't stop them from taking the class if they wanted to take it. We just wouldn't articulate both onto their transcript. And sometimes students are like, oh, well, I got a B in this Delta class, so I want to take it at the high school. The reality is that you can't hide that B that you got, and it's a great grade to get in a college course. When it comes to applying to UCs and CSUs, students are required to report all of the classes that they take, and then it might look a little confusing if they took English 1A and also AP Lang. So for that reason, we prefer that they stick to kind of the pathway and the plan that we have provided for them. Okay. So the criteria, so everyone that has been invited to this presentation has met the math MAP scores. There is an application process. There is a minimum GPA requirement as well. So if we require a minimum of a 3.0 GPA in the second trimester report card, I understand that not all of you have your second trimester report card. So we did use the first trimester, and that's perfectly fine as well. There is a student and parent application process. And the reason for this is because we want to make sure that students and parents understand what the program is and that they're doing it for the right reasons. Otherwise, it creates more work for both of us once we start freshman year if it's not understood what this program is about. We do require 2 teacher recommendations. They're very simple links that you can provide to your teacher. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we do require that everyone enrolled in the early college program also chooses a professional pathway at the high school. The application is due on March 3rd, so plenty of time to get those documents turned in. I will show you where to find that application in a little bit. So these are I'm just going to go over kind of like what it's going to look like if you do decide to pursue this pathway. So students are not automatically enrolled at Delta College. Students will have to apply to Delta College as a Delta College student. They will receive a Delta student ID number, a Delta email address. They will have access to the Delta portal. That's how they will sign up for their classes each semester. And then the application process for the high school. I'm going to quickly go on to our high school website and show you. I'll show an example, but the links are also on this presentation. I will be sending this presentation out, so you don't have to um, take pictures or anything like that. This presentation is also recorded. So I'm going to really quickly flip over and show where it's located, and then I'll talk about each one of these requirements. Okay. So this is the Mountain House website. Under academics, it's the early college pathway. And then it says apply to the early college pathway, and then the steps are here. So the links are very easily accessible. You just click on it and then the application is there. And the recommendations, as I was mentioning, it's simple Likert scale type of questionnaire for teachers. All right. So the student essay, just why do you want to enroll in the early college program? And then I'd like to make sure that students understand the rigor of the program. And so I like to ask them some questions about what it takes to be successful. Because for starters, high school comes first. This is an extracurricular type of program. And if students are not going to be successful in high school because they're spending too much time on college, we do have rules for that, and we will discuss that in a little bit. The parent essay, just to make sure that parents understand what the program is. They don't have to be super long, just a little bit of information is required. The professional pathway, we do have engineering, biomed, computer science, arts, media, entertainment. That could be like art 1, media art, digital art, drama, culinary, business. And if one's not listed on here, you can send me an email and ask about that. So most of these pathways are 4-year sequence, so they will have to take one each year. So things to think about. So college means college. That means that your behavior, your academic integrity, confidentiality, all of that. So Delta College treats each student, whether they're 13 or 14, like an adult. They don't necessarily talk to the students' parents about their grades or academics. Parents, if you call, they don't really give you information about your student. It is really student-led. Students are expected to be able to sign up for their classes, talk to their professors, talk to their college counselor, all on their own. And if your student is unable to do that, this program might not be the best fit for them. It's important to mention that transcript grades from Delta College, it's a permanent record. If your student decides to cheat in a class and they get like the cheat mark on their transcript, that's a permanent record. It doesn't go away. It stays there forever. So Delta classes, as mentioned earlier, are free. It's important to also consider that the class content is up to the professor. And sometimes there are other adult students in these classes, and some subjects and topics will have adult themes in them. For example, there is a class offered at Delta that's BioPsych 30. The class is about human sexuality. And there's nothing that we as a high school can do about the content taught in this class by the professor. I don't think that our students are taking this class, but I like to use it as an example just in case, just to have parents and students understand what I mean by adult themes. Classes have, like I mentioned, both cohort students and adult students in them. So some things to think about. Students must follow the cohort educational plan in order to stay in the cohort. It will be very hard for me as one person to manage 80 different plans, for example. So we have designed a plan that I think works really well with the way that our graduation requirements work at the high school. So students must follow the cohort educational plan to stay in the cohort. If they steer away, like they didn't sign up for their classes in time or they didn't participate and they were dropped from the class, students will be removed from the program. It's just because we can't manage different educational plans, and the goal is for the cohort to remain a cohort style. Students who earn an F in a college class, show academic dishonesty, or reported negative classroom behavior may not be able to continue in the program. Sometimes it's not up to us as the high school whether or not to keep students in this program. Delta may be like, you know what, this student is on academic probation. We are no longer keeping him in the program. And there's really nothing that I can do on the high school side to keep your student in the program. Students must maintain a 3.0 GPA at high school and really at Delta College to remain in the program. High school always comes first. So if students are struggling for any reason at the high school, then they won't be allowed to continue on in the program. Sometimes early college students are not able to participate in sports just because they have classes in the evenings on the days where like games are or practices. And we are, as like a high school, we are not able to excuse students from their Delta College classes. If they have a class on a Thursday and there's a football game on a Thursday, there's nothing that I can do to excuse students from their Delta College class. So it's something to keep in mind.
I'd just like to piggyback on that. There's nothing I can do either.
Yeah.
That's up to the professor.
And most of the time, professors want that it's usually classes are once a week. So if they're missing the once a week class, there's nothing that the professor can do either. So like, again, attendance matters. Even if you have an A in the class, your attendance still counts. And the reason why I say this is because we had students in a chemistry class one year where they were doing fine and they were attending lab and they had an A in the class and everything was going well. However, they stopped attending lecture and the professor decided that he was going to drop them from the class. There was nothing that I can do at that point. Like there's nothing that I can do or Delta at that point when the professor drops a student from a class. Sometimes professors drop students right in the beginning and then adds a bunch of people on the wait list, and now those spots have been filled. So there's no way to get those back. As I mentioned earlier, as a college student, your parents may not talk to teachers or Delta College, like your parents emailing professors for you and things like that. That just doesn't happen at the college level. Activities that excuse you from high school do not excuse you from college. Students are responsible for their own communication, problem solving, and grade monitoring. Once students are enrolled in those Delta classes, it's not like the high school where I can check their Canvas grades and I can check missing assignments and things like that. I have zero access to their class once they're enrolled in that.
And I don't even have access to their grades either in Canvas.
So Delta doesn't have it either. It's the student and the professor at that point. Important dates and timelines. So applying for Delta admissions is usually around April. I don't know if it's actually, I think it's in March, maybe this year, maybe March. The early college application is due on March 3rd, 2024. There's a quick turnaround. I don't like to take too much time letting students and parents know whether they have been accepted into the program. So by March 6th, I announce who will be accepted. In that same email, I provide an orientation meeting for all accepted students. At that time, I will explain more as far as like the cohort plan, the classes that they're going to take, and kind of the roadmap for the next 4 years. That will happen on March 13th. I will send the link to that invite. It's a mandatory acceptance meeting, just to reiterate some of this stuff that we talked about today, give families another opportunity to ask questions, and so on and so forth. Yeah. I showed you this, but just in case anyone needed to see it again, on the Mountain House High School website under academics, there's a link for early college pathway. And then that's where students and parents will find the links for student application, parent application, and also letters of recommendation from current teachers. Some common questions that I get. Can my child do IGETC or the AS degree on their own without following this path that we have designed for them? Yes, they can work with Delta College counselors and do it on their own. We have a non-MHHS page for that. Students can go to this Mountain House High School website under counseling and select non-MHHS. Maybe they don't want to do full IGETC or full associate's degree, and they want to take a few classes here and there. We have provided all of that information on how they can do that on our high school website. Okay. As you can see here, there's like the articulation matrix that kind of gives you a time frame of when we expect students to take the classes they are taking at Delta in order for those classes to be articulated onto their high school transcript. I went over this a little bit, but I will go over it again. What is the difference between an AP class and a college class? AP courses are rigorous courses designed to prepare students for college level work by offering a more accelerated and challenging course of study than a college prep or honors high school class. AP courses are high school courses taught by high school teachers with specialized training. So Delta College does not teach any AP courses. They just teach college courses. The most important part of an AP course is the big exam at the end. Doing well in that AP exam itself is a good indicator that a student will be awarded college credit. Okay, yeah. So, but in order to earn college credit, they have to do well on the exam. So let's say a student is taking an AP class and they have an A in the class, but then they take an exam and get a 2 on the exam. That's not going to earn them college credit. Okay. With the early college program, students are earning the college credit by passing the college course. There is no like additional exam that they need to take and score in order to get the college credit. Some other common questions. What if my child joins the early college program and then decides they don't want to continue? We don't notate anywhere on the transcript that students are in the early college program. So if your student starts to take classes in their freshman year, in the fall of their freshman year, and then in the spring decide that they no longer want to take that class, they can drop it and just not sign up for classes. There is nowhere that says that they dropped a program or that they were ever even enrolled in the program. It is important to note that Delta has specific deadlines for enrolling in classes and also dropping and withdrawing from classes. So students that sign up for a Delta College class and then are a month into it may not have the option to drop that class. They may have to take the class or take a W, and the W is put on their Delta transcript suggesting that they withdrew from the class before it ended. So some things to consider. But if they decide to do the full semester and then not take any classes the next semester, there are no repercussions for that. What if we want to join the program in 10th grade? So the early college program is a cohort design, meaning all courses are taken together at a scheduled time. So students who do not join the program as an incoming freshman are really not able to start in the 10th grade year. However, as I mentioned earlier, we do students oftentimes are not in this early college program, but do take Delta College courses on their own time. Common question. My son wants to go to Stanford. Do these college credits transfer to Stanford? The early college program, I would say, is designed for students that are planning on going to UCs and CSUs. I cannot speak about private and out-of-state schools, but I did find this information on Stanford's website. So transfer credits are reviewed and awarded by each school independently. And I cannot guarantee whether the courses taken at Delta College will transfer to specific private and out-of-state schools. We typically, when we're suggesting that these are transfer credits or that your status can change to a sophomore or junior, is typically for UCs and CSUs. My child wants to do another common question. My child wants to do engineering or any other major. How does this benefit them? So all students going to a four-year university complete a sequence of undergraduate courses in order to complete their bachelor's degree. So regardless if you're doing engineering, computer science, biomed, there are several undergraduate courses that you have to take. And the early college program, whether you're doing IGETC or an associate's degree, fulfills the majority of those undergraduate level courses. Again, private and out of school may have other requirements, and I'm not able to speak on that. My child wants to be in the online program at Mountain House High School. Can they still do the early college program? So yes, they can do most of their classes online. However, all early college students are required to select a professional pathway class at Mountain House High School. And all of our professional pathway courses are offered in person. So they could take the rest of their courses online. However, they will have to take their pathway course in person. And some of their courses at Delta may also be in person. If you have any questions outside of the early college program, you can email your student's counselor. We are divided by last name. So if your last name is A through BO, it's Ms. Gamez, BR through GI, that is me, and so on and so forth. This is also posted on our counseling homepage on our high school website. All right, so now if I have not addressed something that you have a question about, please go to this tiny URL. It's tinyurl.com/MHHS1028. And please type in your question. I'm unable to monitor the chat, so I like to use this form just so that I have one place where I'm looking. So if you've asked a question in the chat, I am unfortunately unable to do that. Please use this URL to ask your questions. And as questions come in, I will address them. Our first question is, what classes do incoming ninth graders have to take in the program? So the roadmap is not finalized right now. However, in freshman year, most of our freshmen at Delta will take History 2B, which is world history at the high school, in one semester, and they will take religion in a different class in the second semester. Yeah. The next question is, my child is taking choir and CS pathway. Does she have any challenges taking early college? No, the challenges for taking early college courses really fall into some of the sports. Not all of the sports, but some of the sports like football, marching band, and some of those require where the students are required to do a lot of practice and attend um, games, away games, and things like that. It doesn't often work. Sometimes it could. I just don't know the schedule. So it's hard for me to say that it definitely will or that it definitely will not. The next question is, are the admissions to Delta College given based on essay submitted? No. So the essays submitted are just to be in the early college program. They have nothing to do with getting admitted into Delta College. All students that apply are admitted into Delta College. That's correct, right? Yeah. The next question is, if I take early college in freshman year and drop out of the program, if I decide to take it again, will I be able to do that sophomore year? Once you drop out of the early college program, there is no like drop out and re-enter. It's either you're in the program or you're not in the program. Does the child have to take an elective as a pathway in order to take this program? Yes. So one of the elective spots from freshman year will have to be a pathway if they're doing the early college program. Is it mandate to take the course in the summer to do? If we decide to offer, if Delta decides to offer the class in the summer, it is mandated, but it will be online. So it shouldn't interfere with too much. And usually it's just once a week. Or actually, it would be asynchronous, right? Asynchronous means that students will log in when they can and complete the work.
Yeah, as long as they complete the work by the deadline, then they should be fine. And it's actually a short class too. It's not like the whole summer.
When would the first class begin at Delta College? So the first actual class, besides the summer short informative class, will start typically in August of 2024. The next question is, what are the tuition costs for these Delta classes? So Delta classes are free for high school students. All Delta classes are free to high school students. So there's no cost. What time will the classes be in the evening? Typically, they are like from 6 to 9 p.m. in the evening, once a week. Will this presentation be posted anywhere to review later? Yes, this presentation, actually, as soon as this live presentation ends, it will be posted on the Mountain House High School YouTube channel. How often must one attend Delta for classes? How great is the difference in rigor as compared to AP high school courses? What is the difference between IGETSI and the non-MHHS? Do you want to answer the difference in the rigor as compared to AP or high school? I would say that the rigor of the Delta courses are about the same as AP high school courses. However, if a student is taking AP US history, they're taking that class for the entire year. They're taking it from August all the way up until May. These Delta College courses are semester. That means they're taking it from August until US history. So they're more fast paced than an AP high school course. So maybe a little bit more time and rigor will be involved in that.
And I would add, Wajma, that the professors at the college level, they don't extend deadlines. They don't necessarily remind students because it's all in their canvas of when things are due. And so that is the part where students really have to pay attention to, again, their deadlines, and they're not going to get extra time to complete assignments.
Yeah. The next question is, will the amount of paragraphs per student essay do anything to their application? No, I just want those questions answered to the best of their ability. The next question is, can they join HOSA if they're doing early college? Yes, we have several of our students in the biomed pathway that are also involved in HOSA. As a reminder, if you're asking questions in the chat, I'm unable to view those. Please use the link on the screen to ask the questions. Classes in Delta are only for college credits, not for MHHS credits. So no, there are several of the Delta courses that they take as part of this pathway that we also provide MHHS credits as well. And we went over that. So if you missed that part of it, please rewatch the presentation. I do talk about that for quite a bit. How would the early college program affect the student's home life? I'm not sure. I would require them to spend more time doing academic work for sure. So maybe extra time on the computer or extra time away from home, attending a Delta class on top of what they're doing in high school. How much is the workload? So the classes at Delta College are usually in the evenings, as I mentioned, if they are in person. The majority of the classes, I would say, are offered online and they're asynchronous. That means that it's a Canvas shell, and students are supposed to be logging in. There are no like live sessions or anything like that. It's asynchronous courses. And if they are required to go in person, that means that it's once a week and it's usually from like 6 to 9 p.m. Can these college credits transfer to Berkeley? Yes, they do transfer to Berkeley. So when we refer to UCs, we're referring to all of them. Some UCs don't take 100% of all the classes, but the only one that I know of is UC San Diego, but they do take the majority of them. My child is having marching band where he's required to practice and attend game. However, it seems that it's better to join the program as you did not have option. If your student is deciding between early college and, like I mentioned, like if your student wants to take Delta College classes and still do sports and marching bands and not have a specific course that they can take, they're allowed to take courses on their own outside of the program. I will quickly show. On our high school website under counseling, there's a non-MHHS page. We talk about how to take classes outside of the high school here. We also show you what courses are articulated. We provide you with an articulation matrix where it shows you what classes you can take at what semester and what grade level, and that we will articulate them. So there's a lot of information on how to take courses at Delta College outside of the early college program if your student wants to do sports and such. Any approximate count on how many high school students were able to complete the early I did talk about exact numbers in the beginning of this presentation. I will try to go back and find that. Oops. Okay, so currently we have 141 Mountain House High School students enrolled in the early college program. This number is actually over 100 have graduated with a high school diploma and an associate's degree. Currently, we have several of our students in line to graduate. They actually graduate before their high school graduation. So they become college graduates before they become high school graduates, which is pretty cool.
And I just want to say, Wajma, I just looked up the students that are going to get their degrees this semester, and they are all getting gold cords.
Oh, that's very nice. Can you share what a gold cord means?
So a gold cord is for students whose cumulative GPA is 3.5 or higher.
Which is great.
Yes.
We have a great group of students graduating this year. The next question is, can you share the list of classes offered for all 4 years of early college? I don't have that yet. We're still working on that. In the acceptance meeting, we will share that. I do know that 7 of the courses we are guaranteeing offering, which are the 7 courses that we articulate onto their high school transcript that meet graduation requirements. If I didn't choose a professional pathway for my freshman year, but I'm going to do it in my 10th, can I still be in the early college program? So if you decide to join the program and you did not select a professional pathway in your course request, I will be sending out a form after the acceptance meeting where you are able to make a change in your course request. That change will specifically be for current elective or flex period that you have selected and what professional pathway you want to add. Most students have already picked an elective that falls into the professional pathway category. However, if you did want to make a change, that opportunity will come later. If I see a question that I have already addressed or is not related to this presentation, I will be skipping it. On Delta's website, I see college early start and dual enrollment. What is the difference? So college early start is what this program is. It's like you are a Mountain House high school student and you are taking college courses through Delta College. That means you are on Delta College's campus for in-person courses and you are on Delta College's website for online courses. Dual enrollment is where schools offer Delta College courses on their campus. So high school teachers or Delta College professors are teaching these dual enrollment courses on their actual campus, which is not what we're doing. We are college early start, not dual enrollment. Did I get that? Okay, great. What classes are offered for the early college program is the same for every pathway. So there isn't like a biomedical pathway in early college or an engineering pathway in early college. All students, regardless of what they want to major in, are taking the same classes. If my child takes early college, will that get early bachelor's degree or just an associate's degree? So this program offers either IGETC, the lower division sequence of classes, or an associate's degree, and they decide that in their sophomore year. It does not offer a bachelor's degree. Students still apply to universities as a first-time freshman. They are still not considered transfer students. So we do talk a little bit more about what that means in the acceptance meeting, but students taking these classes are just taking college courses to maybe save some time once they're in college. And whether they become a sophomore or junior status, that will offer them to get their bachelor's degree a little bit sooner. Students that do early college will also still have opportunity to take AP courses at the high school. There are tons of AP courses offered at the high school that students will not be doing as part of this program. I see you mentioned that pathways are required. So I think someone's mentioning that in the FAQs for incoming freshmen, it was mentioned that students do not need to have a pathway in their course request. That is true. However, as part of this program, we do require that students do a professional pathway. And so, like I mentioned earlier, this is different than if your student was an incoming freshman that was not doing early college. Incoming freshmen that are not doing early college do not have to have a professional pathway. Can you take ninth grade Delta courses during summer of 8th grade? No, because you can start taking courses at Delta College when you're a high school student. Is there a minimum maximum number of classes requirement taken either at Delta or early college? Yes, there is a roadmap, like I was mentioning. Once we have that roadmap, I wonder if I can share. I don't think I can. There is a roadmap. Like I mentioned, each semester students take about 2 Delta College courses. Once I get that, I will share that during the acceptance meeting. Can you still take Delta early college pathway even if you got less than if you didn't quite meet the 230 or the 220 map scores, you could still apply if you're like really on the border. What we have found throughout the years is that students that do better on their map scores tend to do better with the amount of work that is being offered and the level of rigor that's being offered. However, if you don't meet those map scores but you still want to be considered, you can definitely still apply. Question is, so are 8th graders supposed to take a class in the summer before 9th grade? Does a B in early college course count as an A on your high school transcript? So when we talk about weighted grades, we don't talk about changing the letter grade that you earn in a course. It's the points that are attached to that grade. So for example, in a regular class, an A is worth 4 points. And if you earned an A in that class, we would put A on the transcript, and that would be 4 points towards the GPA. In an AP and honors class, let's say your student earns a B in that class. We would still put a B on the transcript. However, the points associated with that B would be 4 points, just like an A in a regular class. So that's how the weighted works. It does not mean that if you earn a B in a class that an A gets put on the transcript. The letter grade stays the same, just the points attached to that grade change. So students that have picked a pathway already in their course request and are not sure about whether they want to join the program or not do not have to change their pathway. During walkthrough registration, all students will have an opportunity to make a request to change a class. We cannot guarantee at that time whether or not there's space in those classes. If students take history at Delta, will they not attend the same period in the high school? So this is an after-school program. It does not take up a period of their day at the high school. So this presentation, unfortunately, will end at 5:30. So I will do my best to answer as many questions until then. If I did not get to your question, please go ahead and email me and I will respond to your email. A lot of these questions I have addressed in the presentation, so I highly recommend that if you wanted to go back and rewatch the presentation, that would be really helpful. And then if I still don't address your question, please go ahead and email me and I will do my best to address each person's question. The next question, it says, what does it mean when we can't take AP Lang and English 1A at the same time? Well, the English 1A that students take at Delta College, we consider as their junior year English course. So therefore, they don't need to take another English course in their junior year. And that's what that means. My son got an email from the school already regarding early college program saying that he is eligible. So the email that I sent to everybody telling them that they are eligible and invited them to this meeting is just that. It's just inviting them to this meeting. The application process is for everybody that wants to be considered for the early college program. Nobody is automatically enrolled into the early college program. There are several steps that students and parents have to take as part of their program. Each semester, there is a form that needs to be completed. Each semester, students need to log into their portal and sign up for their classes. Nothing unfortunately happens automatically. So the students and parents do have to put some work in to make sure that everything is happening smoothly. When is Math 1 summer course? So we don't require any certain math level to be a part of the early college program. So if your student is going to be taking Math 1 as a freshman at the high school, that is the minimum requirement. They don't have to be in Math 2 to be in the early college program. You do only apply to Delta College once. However, each semester there's this form that is completed that gives permission for students to take the class at Delta College. But the application to the school itself happens just once. And again, a lot of the logistics of how to do things will be discussed in our acceptance meeting. I don't want to bore the ones that are not interested in the program with all of those small logistics. What is the success rate of past students getting into their desired UC-CSU colleges? I would say that all of our students that are in the program that have earned or received IGETC certificate or an associate's degree have successfully gotten into a UC or CSU. Like Ms. McGee mentioned earlier, all of the students that are currently graduating from our program have a 3.5 or above at Delta College. That means that in the classes that they took at Delta College, they have a 3.5 overall cumulative GPA, which is really great. That does show UCs and CSUs that these students take college level courses on top of doing high school and are successful. All right, I'm going to take one or two more questions. That I haven't already answered. Some of these are repeated questions, so I'm trying to go through them. Can we start from sophomore year? So the Cohort early college program is designed for incoming freshmen. There is no sophomore start. However, students in their freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior year are welcome to take Delta College courses on their own. That process is outlined on our high school website under non-MHHS, under counseling actually, and then non-MHHS. What about the cost of books and fees? That's a great question, actually, that we do discuss in our next meeting. There are book costs and fee costs that students are responsible for. From my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of these classes that are taught to our cohort students, our professors are encouraged to use open access resources. However, some courses do require a book, and there are fees associated with that. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Ms. McGee?
No, that's pretty much it. The one good thing though is that I would say maybe 2 classes out of the entire year are going to require you to purchase a textbook. So most of them don't use textbooks.
All righty. The next question is IGETC more flexible than early college program? I'm not sure what that means. So IGETC is one of the options in the early college program. So the option is IGETC, which is, I'm not sure how many units, or the associate's degree, which is, about 6 more classes on top of IGETC. So the associate's degree requires students to take summer courses in their sophomore and junior summers, the summer after their sophomore year and the summer after their junior year, and additional courses maybe in their senior year on top of the 2 per semester. So IGETC is just 2 classes each semester, no summer work. The next question is, can the student drop out of the early college course later? So we talked about how it works with dropping out of the program. Once students are enrolled in Delta College classes, Delta has their own timeline of how students can drop. So if it's after the drop date of a Delta course that students have signed up for, students may get stuck in that class if it's after the drop and withdraw date. However, if they wanted to drop out of the program after their first semester, that doesn't affect anything. It doesn't affect college applications. It does not affect their status at the high school. It doesn't even affect their status at Delta College if they just wanted to do one semester and not do any more than that. So that's all the time we have for questions. If I didn't answer a very important question of yours, please watch the presentation. Again, it is going to be online as soon as we are done. And if I still don't answer your question, please email me and I will answer your question. Our email addresses I will show you, again, are on the high school website. Under counseling, if you just go to counseling home, our email address is here. My email is right here. My name is Wajma Islami. And my email is the second one. But if you have a general question that's not early college related, that maybe has to do with something else, you can email the counselor that is assigned to your student. All right. Thank you so much for attending. Hopefully, I answered the questions to the best of my ability. And yeah, we'll see you maybe at the next meeting in March. All right. Take care.